Okay, so this is Sviarta Omer, this is Gevurah of Yesod, Together We're Stronger. Have you ever seen two pieces of a puzzle, one jagged edge finding its perfect companion? That's the same concept for the Gevurah of Yesod. Creating harmony out of two disconnected parts is what unifies them both. The ultimate balance is found in separating them while still understanding they are one and the same. Relationships, in whatever form they take, require a lot of effort. When entering into a new relationship, like marriage or a partnership, it is important to keep in mind that there may be difficult moments ahead. The best way to prepare young couples for marriage is to ensure they know that miscommunications, arguments, and fights are all part of the journey, because they are. Rather than looking at matrimony through rose-tinted glasses and expecting everything to go perfectly, couples should understand that any relationship will contain its fair share of disagreements and misunderstandings. The only way to get past these challenges is for both parties to stay committed and work together as a team. So when you enter relationships such as marriage, it's important to decide how to handle disagreements with your partner. Love and affection aren't enough. They're just one component of a successful relationship. The only way for this challenge to be resolved is if you and your spouse are together. If not, the two of you become enemies. A strong relationship relies on togetherness. In order to overcome obstacles in life, you must stay united as a couple. This Hebrew concept of hitgabrut comes from the idea of Gevurah, meaning that when faced with difficulties, we can find strength within ourselves to overcome them. Usually, Chesed is the power that brings two things together, and Gevurah is the power of separating them. So how can Gevurah, the power of separation, put two things together? So if you look back at history, whenever there was a covenant, they took an animal and cut it in half. So look at Avraham Avinu. When he made a brit, for example, they cut an animal in half. This is mentioned multiple times in covenant throughout the Tanakh. The idea of the covenant is to take something that is one and cut it into two, so two pieces can still belong to one. The Gevurah of Yesod takes this concept further by taking two pieces from the same thing and putting them together again. So two people don't get married when they fight all day long. In fact, in most cases, couples break up instead of getting married when that happens. Couples often decide to get married when the love is so amazing in the beginning that it creates a commitment between them. The same principle can be applied to any kind of partnership. So why would two people even decide to enter into a partnership if they don't get along? In these scenarios, it usually shows they had a good connection and understanding at the start of their relationship that enabled them to move forward and form a stronger bond. So for most relationships, this is where people feel a strong connection and commitment toward one another that encourages them to take the next step in their relationship. The relationship starts with a strong love, and this creates the foundation to fight for it. When we have arguments with somebody close to us, we need to stop and use the power of Gevurah to acknowledge that our relationship is stronger than this disagreement. If we don't remind ourselves of this, the relationship could lose its strength when things get tough. That's why relationships start with love. A parent-child relationship is a complex one, even more so when it turns sour. It's important to remember that relationships grow and evolve, and that even the most troubled ones had their beginnings in love. While it may be hard to believe, babies don't come out of the womb with negative feelings toward their parents. On the contrary, mothers are often affectionate and doting towards their young, who respond with adoration and love. But over time, these relationships can become strained or fractured. So Chesed is the foundation of all relationships. However, sometimes separation occurs due to arguments and conflicts. But the connection between two parties can be strengthened with Gevurah, strength and courage to nurture that relationship regardless of any differences. Yesod acts as a hook between two entities. It's a sign of a solid connection when this sephira is strong. So no matter how heated the moment, it's important to remember that relationships are always stronger than disagreements. No single argument can be allowed to damage the connection between two people. So when you can feel that things are getting heated, take a step back, breathe, and think, how can I bring the relationship back together? It's easy to argue with someone and become trapped in a frustrating cycle of disagreements, but it's harder to take a step back, remember the stronger connection between us, and nourish that instead. Actually, Tomer Devorah teaches that a good way to deal with how people in difficult situations is to hold a memory of them, like a good memory of them. And you have that in each person you have in relationships with in your life. You have these treasured memories of, and we use that to keep that connection and not let these other difficulties and disagreements get us off track. So no matter our relationship, spouse, parent, child, or any other, we are two parts of the whole. We can choose to further separate ourselves by feeding into the argument, or we can strengthen our bond by taking a moment to recognize the connection that lies beneath the fight. As challenging as it might be in that moment, choosing to nourish the relationship is always the best option in order to come closer together and end the fight more quickly. So relationships take effort, understanding, and love to maintain. It's important to remember that while arguments or disagreements may arise, they are never more powerful than the connection and bond between two entities. With an open and forgiving heart, you can nurture relationships toward health and happiness. So this week, let's focus on building strong relationships through understanding and appreciation for one another. No relationship is perfect, but with the power of Gevurah, of Yesod, we can mend those relationships that are not in a good place. At the end of the day, remember the importance of prioritizing your relationship over any agreement or disagreement. This will lead to stronger connections that can last a lifetime. Sometimes, when couples fight, one of them can be smart and say, let's stop arguing about this. You know I love you. Let's make it work. Let's ignore this argument right now and find a way to bridge it. So this is an important step in a relationship because when arguments become more intense and heated, words are said that can be hard to take back. That's why the power of Gevurah is so important in relationships. Gevurah means to stop and separate. In other words, even though it doesn't have to mean 100% agreement between you and your partner, children, or spouse, don't let disagreements lead to arguments or fights that will overpower your relationship. Yesod is a very important part of the tikkun of midot. So why? Because making relationships better is key to achieving a more balanced and productive life. Hashem wants us to take the time to work on these relationships and make them better so we can be healthier and happier. The more productive and more productive. So building trust, kindness, and understanding are all important steps that strengthen our relationships. Taking the time for self-reflection is also essential for establishing better connections with those around us. Putting effort into improving our relationships pays off in many ways and leads to a much richer life. Keeping a healthy relationship is all about being open to compromise, respecting different perspectives, and communicating clearly and openly with each other. So building a strong relationship is an ongoing process that requires effort from both parties. It may not always be perfect, but by focusing on connection between people, you can maintain a positive and rewarding relationship for both of you. The connection between Yesod and Gevurah goes beyond the usual boundaries of understanding. At its core, Yesod is a bridge between two opposite forces that once were one. The unification of these two opposing forces is known as the covenant. Between two separate entities are made into one whole. So this is an essential concept to grasp in order to comprehend the depth of their relationship. The concept of the covenant found in the Torah reminds us that no matter how difficult it may seem, we can still find a way to connect one another even when things are not perfect. Finding this connection requires us to look past our differences and instead focus on our common humanity and shared values. This is a powerful lesson that speaks to the potential that lies beneath the surface of any disagreement or challenge. So understanding how to bridge the gap between two opinions is key to cultivating strong relationships. Learning how to do so can lead to improved emotional health and a greater sense of connection with the people around us. We can nourish our relationships and share in their successes through open dialogue, even if our differences remain. This is the essence of Yesod, finding ways to stay connected no matter the challenge. No matter the challenge. Okay, so it looks like we're missing a sanctification. Well, a nice diamond. I think we're missing a line here. Anyway, sanctification, while a nice diamond ring can be given as a present. Okay, so silver or white gold is preferred as there are mystical reasons behind their choice. So wearing a ring on one's finger serves not only as a sign to others that one is taken, but also to remind oneself of the beauty in the relationship they are forming. So while it may be difficult to remember this beauty after 40 years of marriage, it's important for couples to have this reminder of their connection. A wedding ring is also an enduring symbol of love and commitment that will last forever. Directed to many people, the ring represents something far greater than the cost or the shine. It speaks of eternity and its promise to stay together forever. That's why many select gold, silver, or platinum over alternative materials that are cheaper in price but won't last as long. Simply put, a wedding ring always says, I choose this forever. A promise which is as beautiful as it is powerful. So any marriage, two people are connected in a way that can be truly beautiful. When in a good relationship, it's easy to recognize how lucky we are and appreciate the beauty of it. However, many people can become complacent or forget the beauty they share with their partner, even if they have an amazing spouse. Remembering to appreciate the connection and relationship is essential for growth and happiness. Having a good friend who sticks by you through thick and thin is one of life's greatest treasures. It's so special to have a friend you can count on in life, especially when so many other relationships come and go. It's easy to take our relationships for granted, but it's important to take time out of every day to appreciate what we have. A wonderful reminder of this is the phone call I recently received from an old friend I hadn't spoken with in a while. Despite the passage of time, he was still there for me like the faithful friend he's always been. Even in a world with 7.4 billion people, true friends are hard to come by, a testament to how much my three best friends mean to me. This is Rabbi Alon Anava. So even though it can be challenging when life gets busy or different priorities pull us away from each other, it's essential to remind ourselves why these special people are so important. Because they are irreplaceable treasures in our lives. Make sure that your spouse knows how deeply you care about them each and every day. It's important not to wait until a special occasion to tell your spouse how much they mean to you. Every day, take the time to express your appreciation and admiration for them. Letting your spouse know that you think they're amazing letting your spouse know that you think they're amazing shouldn't be contained in one conversation a year. It should be part of an ongoing dialogue that celebrates who they are and all the wonderful things they do. Showing your gratitude with more than just words can also go a long way. Send a card, make dinner for them, buy them something special, whatever works for you in your relationship. This is true for any relationship as well. So don't wait for Mother's Day, which I think is this weekend, to tell your mother how much you appreciate her. A relationship is such an important bond, and a mother-child one is even more special. Show your appreciation for your mom by telling her how amazing she is every week or once a day. Even if she's not amazing in the eyes of everyone else, you can still show her kindness and respect by expressing how much you admire her. And an alternative way to do this is not just to say it to the person, but to tell other people how much you appreciate different things in a certain person's life. Because those people, when they talk to this person over here, they're going to be like, wow, your son says such nice things about you. Or even if it's a friend, it's like, hey, your friend says such nice things about you. Or, hey, your neighbor says such nice things about you. Instead of it being like everybody behind the back, that kind of stuff. To have a good relationship with someone is beautiful, whether it is between husband and wife, father and child, or two friends. Take the time to recognize the beauty in relationships by appreciating the connection you have with those around you. That is the Tiferet of Yesod. It's what makes any relationship so valuable. So take a moment to appreciate the positive relationships in your life. Focus on the beauty and goodness that they bring to you, to your life, and to the world more broadly. Look for what makes them special and remind yourself of that each time you interact with them. And like I said, also spread that to other people. Spread the good that people do to other people so that we all have a better respect and appreciation for each other whenever we interact. Whenever these two over here interact, they'll have a better respect and appreciation for each other because you told this person over here that the good things and the good traits about this person. So even if they have a bad experience together, there's still going to be, there's still going to be some icing on the cake for them that they'll overlook some of the, like if they find a hair in their cake, they're going to treat it as something small rather than something big because they know that this person has good qualities. Right? So good relationships are an invaluable part of life and can provide us with security, comfort, joy, and growth, and so much more. Spend some time reflecting on how these people have enriched your existence. So we often don't realize how quickly time passes until after it's gone. It's easy to get caught up in the hustle and bustle of everyday life, but it's important to take a step back and value the relationships we have in our lives. With children, for example, we can go from feeling like they're completely dependent on us to them growing up into adults seemingly overnight. We should strive to appreciate and recognize the beauty that exists within each relationship, whether with family members, friends, or even acquaintances. This is how we build and sustain the bridge between ourselves and others. By putting effort into strengthening these connections, we are connecting to the divine Sephirah of Tiferet through Yesod. Wow, that's what wrong. In the middle of this, whenever I had an issue, it was because it switched over to the next one, and it didn't tell me. So we got 2 in one day, everyone. So just a little misprint in the book. I'm sorry about that. Have a good day.